I told you there's a way to get your entire defense set up in under 2 seconds? Or there's 2 hidden settings you need to turn on that's going to increase your wins by over 67%. Well, that's going to be nothing, because by the end of this video, you're going to know 5 secret college football 26 tips to have you dominating every game. And so long as you follow those tips, you're going to be the best player in your league. Let's jump right into it. All right, the first secret trick I want to show you is a way to make your blitzes 10 times better every time, regardless of the blitz. Let me show you. Great, so this part of the video is going to completely change how you even think about blitzing here in college football 26. All right, so we're going to go through some scenarios here. We're going to call 3-3-5 penny, but again, this is going to work regardless of the blitz that you're running, okay? So basically, we have this blitz right here, which is a 5-man blitz, which is going to be 4 defensive linemen, and then we have basically a linebacker that's going to be looping from the middle over to the left side. All right, we're just going to call this blitz, and this is probably what you're doing, where you're just calling it stock. Right, we're just going to call the blitz stock, and you're going to see how there's a shed, right? But sheds are unpredictable. You can never really bank on sheds. We're going to go through it again right here, and you're just going to see how this time he actually kind of walls up a little bit, and they actually play for the defense. Now, you do have a delayed rush right here, you know, from like the linebacker. And that's why this particular blitz is good, and that's why I'm showing you this, but I want to show you how to make it better, okay? So what we're going to do first, this is the first adjustment you can make, right? You can just shift your D-line to the left, so that now you have, as long as the linebacker loops over the left, which he's been doing, which he's supposed to do, if he just loops over the left side, now there's 4 defensive linemen on the left, or in 4 defensive linemen linebackers. So 4 pass rushers on the left side, and there's only going to be 3 linemen if the center slides over, right? So now we're going to take the snap once again, and you're going to call the blitz, and you're going to see how, again, the linebacker loops in free once again, and then, I mean, you do get another shed, which, again, sheds are helpful. Sheds happen, but I would never really rely on a shed. All right, so again, I'm still standing all the way back here, so my user's not even really impacting this blitz. This is just the 5 defensive linemen, and you're able to see, once again, those 2 guys loop around completely free and fly in. Well, that's not how you make blitzes insane, because yes, ebooks or defensive breakdowns will show you, hey, set the blitz up this way, but this is the key that they're missing. You're not usering anything. You're not actually affecting the offensive line with your user. Watch the difference when I just stand over the center, and I'm going to be able to either turbo engage or get his attention. So right here, I'm going to turbo engage with him, press D-pad up, right trigger, left stick down, run into him, and then you're able to see how 2 guys come in completely free. And they're going to possibly get called for a penalty because their offensive lineman, 56, is so far down the field. So, I mean, I wouldn't really bank on penalties either, but that is a real thing that will happen when you do this, is, you know, you're going to be able to get, you know, some quick pressure and a penalty from them. But you're going to see how, once again, we're going to get the attention of a lineman, and then you're able to see that allows him to come in free. And the great thing is, because you turbo engage or you get back into coverage, you're back in coverage. You can use her like a drag right here. If I was paying attention, I would have used her these 2 drags. Or you could switch stick onto this deep safety and, you know, guard this post route. But you could see the difference between the first time that I called that blitz and right there, how much faster and how much, honestly, more consistent the blitz is, simply because you're affecting one of the linemen, or multiple of the linemen actually are on this play. I'm actually affecting 61, 56, and 75 all on the right side, and then it distracts them and moves them away from this left side, which is really where the blitz comes in. And again, sheds are a real thing. Sheds happen, and sheds, you know, can be beneficial for you, but the way that you want to blitz in college football 26 is overload blitzing by, you know, making sure you have a numbers advantage on one side and not really worrying about the other side, but also getting the attention of the offensive lineman with your user. All right, so I just showed you a way to make your blitzes 10 times better and get pressure way faster. What if I showed you a way to play man coverage behind it that was sticky and lockdown? All right, so I'm not even gonna blitz them here in this play when I'm gonna show you an example of this. We're gonna come into 3-3-5 penny, cover 1 robber. All right, this is our little defense here. Now, we understand that how leverage works in this game. We want to look at number 6 right here, the receiver on the left side. All right, number 6. The corner has outside leverage on him, meaning that you would expect if he runs this in route, he gets open, right? So boom, he has outside leverage. So if the receiver runs it in route across the field, he gets open. That's understandable, but that's why, right? route shading is a thing, right? And that's probably, maybe what you're doing. You might know about route shading, where you can press Y or triangle and then press the right stick, in this case to the left, to shade inside. So you can shade your whole defense now inside. And now, not to say that he's never going to get open on this in route, but a lot of the time, more consistently, we're going to be able to guard this in route, right? This is a lot tighter man coverage across the field, right? Maybe that you could say there's a window. Good offensive players with freeform maybe could throw that, but it could be a pass breakup just because the coverage is much tighter versus when he's shaded outside. Well, you're gonna say, BLT, well, what if I, do the same thing, but now they see I'm shaded inside, and so they change it up, right? And so they put him on a corner route now. And again, not to say that your man's gonna get cooked every time they run the corner route, but a lot of the time, right, he's gonna be able to create separation, right? That time, actually, he did a good job of using his sideline as another defender. The receiver kind of beat him a little bit there if they had more room to throw, but for the most part, good man coverage. But there's really a way to make sure that everything's guarded, like very, very often and very consistently, regardless of really who's at receiver, who's at corner. Number 6 is actually a really good receiver too, right? But we're going to basically shade our coverage inside here in this play, right? So we're going to shade our coverage inside, and what is this going to do for the offense? They're going to think now to run an outside breaking route because you're shaded inside, and they see that. So they don't necessarily want to call it in route or a slant because you're already shaded that way with body position. So again, they're going to call the same thing. They're going to call a corner route. So they're just going to put X on a corner route right here, boom, just like this. So you're going to press Y, then you're going to press A, all right, and then you're going to press X right here, right, to click onto that receiver, and you're going to route commit outside, okay? You're going to route commit outside. And you're shaded inside, but now you're tricking them into calling a corner route when you're basically telling your DB, hey, go out there and guard the corner route. Now, again, not to say that he could never get open, but he's basically going to be, you see how he's basically running the route to that receiver? It's like he knows the route coming. It's like if you played old Maddens, it's like one step ahead, or inside shade, right? Or in this case, outside shade, right? So boom, we just sit on this, and he's basically hip for hip with a receiver that's really good, really fast, because he's already, like, you see right here how he's early and turning outside, and he's not like late to it, right? And you're going to say, and the next thing you're going to say is, BLT, what if I guess wrong on my route commit? Well, you have to understand that you're already shaded in that direction. You're already shaded inside, right? So again, shade inside and then route commit outside. So you're going to shade inside and then you're going to route commit outside again, but this time you're going to see how he's actually going to do a pretty good job of actually guarding this pass, all right? And again, not to say this guy could never get open, but he doesn't get cooked. You see how he doesn't really get cooked? He makes it, a pretty tight throw, and obviously there's another defender there to help him out sometimes, but it's like, for the most part, like, you would think he would just get absolutely shredded on this, but he's actually able to recover really well and run with this step for step across the field. So again, you would like to just be able to route commit inside and, and shade inside if he runs inside, but sometimes you guess incorrectly. But the great thing is the route commit really allows you to cover your butt, and it's way better than just using the individual shading that EA had previously put in the game in previous years, because you're basically able to like tell your guy, give him a cheat sheet of exactly where he needs to be. All right, so like I said in the intro, there's a way that all top players, and by the end of this video, you're gonna be able to do it, get their defense off in like 2 seconds. Let me introduce you to how to quick adjust. So again, this isn't gonna really matter the defensive formation that you're in, but I'm just gonna come and do a cover 3 defense right here. Also doesn't really matter the play. Now, a lot of adjustments need to be made. You understand that when you watch my playbook breakdowns, you watch my blitz breakdowns, I talk a lot about, hey, set this up, put this man in this, do that, right? And you're like, how do you do that so fast? Well, it's called quick adjustments, because probably what you're doing, let's just say I told you to blitz this linebacker. You're probably starting to play on this man right here, and then you're having to manually click around, and sometimes you click onto the wrong guy, like you're clicking all the way around to get onto him, and you can't get onto him, but eventually you do, and then by the time that happens, you don't even have time, right? Because the offense just snaps the ball, and now you're on the wrong defender, the whole defense is messed up, right? Everyone wants to get better with quick adjustments, and really the best way to do that is doing it from one central player. So you're going to stay on Lawson the whole time, because even if you don't get all the adjustments off, you're on the right player. And that's at least the least that you really want, right? Because if I'm clicking all the way around, they snap the ball, I'm gonna get quick snapped and be on the wrong guy. But if I'm doing it from one player, I'm gonna be able to stay on this player, and if I get quick snap, I'm still here, so I still am able to like guard stuff over the middle of the field if I need to, right? So you want to always quick adjust from the player that you want to user on that play. All right, so we're gonna do it from Lawson here. So if I wanted to blitz this linebacker, you need to understand that linebacker adjustments can be made by pressing D-pad right twice, right? So you're gonna press D-pad right twice, and this is gonna open the linebackers, right? Some formations have 3 linebackers, some formations have 2, right? And so this formation has 2, so it's gonna be my user here. And I would just need to look and see that Jefferson is A, and then I click A, and now I have access to all of these different adjustments that I can do just for Jefferson. So if I want to put him in a middle third, a mid read, a curl flat, a hard flat, if I want to blitz him, change where his zone is playing with the custom zones, I can do whatever I want. So if I wanted to blitz him, obviously I would press right stick down. And that's something that you would need to master and understand, is what like button commands after you get that menu open, where you have to go to do what, right? So I mean, that's actually how you do everything fast. You start to just build that muscle memory. But the next one is the defensive lineman, which is just easy because it's the opposite. It's just pressing D-pad left twice. And then you're gonna be able to, adjust all these guys, click onto any of them. You wanna drop your defensive end right here and do a curl flat. You're able to see this man right here is now in a curl flat, and this man right here is blitzing, right? And so now you're able to see that. So it's just fantastic, because now if you wanted to like set up a cover 2, you would need to understand that your safeties, your secondary is by pressing Y twice. And now you see your 5 DBs, you can adjust all of them, right? So now I can just press onto any of them, put them in a cloud flat, put him in a deep half, right? So it's easy because I'm just pressing Y twice every time, and then I'm just gonna click onto the guy and then make the adjustment. So really, I'm gonna reset this play, and I'm gonna set up the same defense that you just saw. I'm gonna try to do it as fast as possible, right? So I'm gonna drop this man here. I'm gonna do this, boom, and then there. And now the defense set up. And that was a little bit longer than 2 seconds, but those were a lot of adjustments. But you're able to see how you're able to set up a really good defense, way different than the cover 3 defense that you saw originally, which is what the original play was. And you're able to really adjust the defense however you need to, right? And so then you can understand that you're in a cover 2, calling a delayed rush. And so then you just have to, make sure you're using over the middle of the field. And again, the possibilities with quick adjustments are endless. If you want to start in a cover 0, quick adjust the whole defense to a cover 2, right? That's really good. Or if you're just trying to make simple adjustments, right? You're in cover 3, you just need to man up the running back, right? Just press D-pad right twice, press A, then, right stick up, and then press Y. That's a great example of it. And quick adjustment is very important. And now you have basically a pro's guide to quick adjust. All right, I hope that breakdown of quick adjustments is very helpful for you. But if you want it in a step-by-step PDF guide where you can always reference how to do these things at your fingertips on your phone, I recommend you go to the link down below in the description and pinned comment and check out my website where I have written tactical breakdowns, and you can subscribe to BLT's CFBU and get access to every single breakdown I put out for the entire month for 70% off. I can't wait to see you over there. All right, the next secret I'm gonna show you is 2 secret settings you need to make sure you have on defense to actually be able to guard really well. All right, so if we pause the game right here, we're going to, just have them choose their play. This is gonna be a coaching adjustment. So all you're gonna do, press R3 or the right stick in, depending on your console, and you're gonna open this menu now. Like I've talked about the best defense settings, right? But the one I want to focus on here is going to be cornerback matchups, making sure this is on balance, okay? Because essentially what's going to happen to your defense if you leave it on by route running is, let's just say they have their fastest receiver, and this is your fastest, DB. He's going to try to match up, stand right over this man, but you're in zone coverage, so his zone is all the way across the field. And so anytime the offense no huddles and your guys are trying to run back to the line of scrimmage, they have a chance to line up like this, right? Where the defense is completely crisscross and guys are trying to follow, backs and tight ends and everything from across the field. And so you can see how this is going to be a huge problem. And I see this so many times in my comment sections, people asking me, BLT, my defense is completely misaligned. Why is that the case? And really the answer is pretty simple. You have it on by height, by speed, by route running just something that it shouldn't be on, when it should just be on balance. Because obviously you see, if we just go ahead and take the snap and we throw the pass, if they call any route concept has a streak on the field, they're going to have a wide open touchdown over the top. And obviously the problem with that is you're not going to be, if your defense comes out like this or they line up like this, you can't just manually move all these guys back into the right spot. The offense is going to see you doing that and they're just going to snap the ball, right? And so then they're going to just have a big gain. And so really all you would have to do, you would have to either call a timeout or not use the setting at all. So really the fix is to just please make sure that you never do this. You never have your cornerback matchups on anything besides balance, because it is just easy touchdowns over the top if you decide to change that setting. All right, but the second secret setting you need to make sure you're using on defense here is these coverage shells. Okay, you see how if I flick the right stick or R3 up or down in any direction, just up or down, right? You're able to change your coverage shell. So basically, if you call a cover 3 and you have a cover 0 shell on, the defense is going to look like cover 0 to the offense. And you can imagine how valuable this can be for you on defense to hide your coverage. You can call cover 2 man, you can call, cover 2, cover 3. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you my favorite use case for this. All right. So we're going to come put this into a cover 0 and you're going to call a zone coverage based play. So you're either going to call cover 2 or you're going to call cover 3, right? I'm going to actually just call cover 2 right here, right? So you're going to see how when the offense lines up, this looks like cover 0. You want to know why? Because all of the DBs are lined up right over top of the receivers. You can actually see the outside corner lined up over B. He has outside leverage, right? And that makes sense in this situation because the formation that they have over here on this right side, lined up over number 6 is a corner. He's standing right over him. And the key difference is if we call a cover 2 shell and run cover 2, right? What you're gonna see what's gonna happen would be this man we're actually gonna do it, where you're gonna see how the defense shifts. You see how that corner on the left side moved over, these guys moved, over, and this guy moved back. But because you have that cover 0 shell on, the defense is being disguised as cover 2, and it's going to be a lot tougher for players who really just want to read defense, right? They want to walk the line, try to read your defense and see what you're in. So if I go ahead and move these guys to really back where they would be if you called the shell, the great thing about this is now if I'm on offense, I might actually call this route concept instead of more of a zone beating play, because I understand that this is a route concept that does a great job of attacking man coverage, right? But here's the worst part for them. When they take the snap, you're dropping in a zone. This isn't a zone beating really play. Not to say that, drags can get open versus, zone coverage or man coverage, but as long as you just have a good user over the middle, you do a good job of taking away passes like this, drags and stuff, easy defense. Because their post route now, which would do a good job against man coverage, now gets guarded very easily by a middle third or a deep safety because there's no runoff route, right? And you can see a comeback route, a good route against man, not good against zone. There's a cloud flash sitting under him. There's a deep half over the top sitting over him. And so it's going to be an absolute nightmare for them. And they're really going to either panic and throw you a pick, or they're just going to end up just eating a sack because they called a really bad play against a zone coverage. And it's not even, I wouldn't even really say it's their fault. There's really nothing they can do. That's the whole point of coverage shells, is being able to disguise defenses. And so you're really going to take advantage of people who really only rely on reading a defense in the old school way of reading a defense, versus adapting to more of everything beaters and calling plays that can beat every coverage, because you're going to be disguising your coverage as something that you're not in. All right, you stayed all the way to the end, so let me show you a secret route that will give you one play touchdowns over the top if your opponent decides to run man coverage. All right, and that route that I'm talking about is actually going to be what is called the slot fade. Now, here's the key with this. This is a very kind of long developing play. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of room. So I would never call this play inside the 50-yard line. I would always, try to be behind the 50, but you're just going to put one of your slot receivers, and I would also make sure I'm doing this to the wide side of the field. So we're going to be looking at number 6 here. All right, we're going to put him on a slot fade. So we're going to press Y, then we're going to press X, we're going to press left trigger, slot fade. All right, and this is not even the glitch, because if I just put him on the slot fade, right, he's not open, right? That DB does a good job of just sitting on that and guarding it. But here's the glitch, right? And you're really not even supposed to be able to do this. They actually were, they said they tried to patch this earlier in the year, but it really didn't work, right? So all you're gonna do, put him on the slot fade once again. And again, this is a longer developing play, so I would also have other routes on the field. If I were playing, like in your case, in a game, I'm just gonna spy off the pass rush so I can show you this. But you're gonna put him on a slot fade, then you're gonna press Y, in this case X, and you're gonna smart route him. So you're gonna put him on the slot fade, then you're gonna smart route him, right? And then you're going to custom stem him up 1 or 2 times, whatever you wanna do. So this time I'm just gonna custom stem him up 1 time, and then you see how when he breaks that slot fade off, he basically is gonna just run right behind the DB. Like, and then it's just a lob touchdown over the top. So you see when I didn't smart route the slot fade or custom stem it up the field, it got guarded very easily. But really, once you actually smart route him, he's just gonna run right by this guy. You know, it doesn't really, like I've showed this in other videos, right? It doesn't matter who's at this spot. This is a route that will beat, you know, man over the top for an easy 1-play touchdown, regardless of who's in that spot, really regardless of speed or anything like that. Obviously, it helps to, you know, be faster than the DB, right? But it's really just not that hard, right? All you need to do, once again, put him on a slot fade. And again, if you're playing in a game, I would make sure that, you know, you have, you know, plenty of time to, you know, throw the ball and you have a good route concept around it. But you're gonna put him on a slot fade and you press Y, X, RB to smart route him, all right? And then you're gonna custom stem him up 1 or 2 times, all right? So that's what we're gonna do right here. You're able to see, and once he bends that slot fade off, that's when you can just lob it over the top, you know, for an easy touchdown, okay? So essentially, he is going to run that slot fade, try to get outside leverage. If he doesn't, it's fine, because when he bends the route off, he's gonna get that outside leverage. So you see how they're basically running step for step right here, but when he bends this slot fade off, he basically like is able to push off this, you know, DB and get to the outside, and that's when you just lob it over the top. And honestly, as he continues running, he continues to get more separation, but you can see why I say you need to be behind the 50, because this is a lob pass over the top, especially if they're running cover 0, right? You want to lob the ball over the top because you know he's gonna be able to get behind the guy. So yeah, you need to make sure you're using these slot fade routes if they want to run press man coverage, which is kind of a common meta right now, and you're going to be scoring easy touchdowns. But if you like any of those 5 tips that I broke down in this video and want them in written form, again, I encourage you to go to the link down below in the description or pinned comment and check out my written tactical breakdowns, where you're going to get, again, this whole video in written form so you can save it every game on your phone. But if you want to know how to play lockdown defense, I encourage you to check out this video right here where I break down my 3-2-6 defensive ebook. I'll see you over there.